Hi everyone. Hopefully you've now had an opportunity to think about what general topic area you would like to write your state legislative bill on. So in this video, I'm going to be walking you through the process for actually writing the text of the bill. And I'm going to show you a few different places where you can go to get some ideas, and then walk you through the process of actually using those ideas to set up your bill. So I'm going to start just by logging into TigerWeb so that I can go into eLearn and download the bill template, because we're going to start there. Apparently my internet is super slow today. Isn't that great? It's not just you guys that have tech issues. It's me too. Okay, it looks like we're back. And so I'm going to go ahead and log in to TigerWeb and then launch eLearn. So from here, you're going to choose your class. I'm just going to choose the online section class, since I assume that's going to be most of you guys watching this. I went to course content. I'm going to click on assignments and course activities, and then legislative day, bill writing materials. And I'm going to choose the third thing in the list here that says bill template Word document, download this. So I'm going to click that. And I'm going to come in here. You'll see a preview of this, and I'm just going to download this file. And I'll bring this up so we can see it all in the window. I'm going to go ahead and enable editing. You'll notice that it says Chattanooga State Mock General Assembly. Your committee assignment and your bill number you're going to leave blank, and you're just going to go ahead and type in your name. So I'll put my name. And then just to be sure, I'm going to go ahead and save this onto my computer. I'm just going to put it on my desktop. I might even put my name on here. You can call it whatever you like. So now I've got my file set up, and what I need to add is a title to my bill, and then the text of my bill. Now I want you to notice that there are these numbers over here on the left. This is actually set up as a table, so you'll notice if I hit the tab button, it's going to come over here. There are two different columns here, and the line numbers are in a column by themselves. So we're not going to try to change those, and I'll show you what to do with those just a little bit later. So for now, I'm going to come back to my web browser, and I'm going to start by going to a website called ncsl.org. I had to think about that. That's the National Conference of State Legislatures. So the NCSL is an organization where people who are members of a state legislative body, like the Tennessee General Assembly or the Georgia State Legislature, they can belong to this, and they can get trainings, they can find out what's happening in other states, they can share resources. You can see they've got conferences and all sorts of fun stuff. So I'm going to scroll all the way down to the bottom of this page, and I'm going to look under Policy and Research Resources for the Bill Information Service. And what this is, they have actually created bill summaries and databases of every bill for every topic that has been introduced into every state legislature in the United States. So I'm going to click on that bill or statute summaries and database, and it's going to bring me to another page that says database up at the top. And you'll see that we've got a whole bunch of different databases here for different topics that a state legislature would be most likely to consider. So we've got things like emergency services. So this is 911, not 9/11 like 2001, but 911 emergency services. Autonomous vehicles are self-driving vehicles. Ballot measures. This isn't something that Tennessee allows or Georgia, so that won't be relevant. We've got capital punishment, campaign finance, child support, family law, child welfare, and so forth. So hopefully you've identified something that you're interested in writing a bill about, something you feel like should be a law. And you can come in here and choose the topic that's closest to what you want to do. So I'm going to come in here, and just because it's relatively straightforward, I'm going to choose minimum wage, but you can choose whatever you like. Once you click on it, then you'll see that we're going to a database that's just about that topic. And you'll see that it includes all minimum wage related state legislative proposals starting in 2014. And then what I can come down here do is I can choose a particular state, or I can just say all states, and I can decide which topic I'm most interested in. So I'm going to actually click on increase minimum wage, and I'm going to choose all years. And then I'm just going to search. And what's going to happen is it's going to search for all bills in every state since 2014 that have proposed raising the minimum wage. Okay, so you'll see here that this in 2018 is at the federal level. So that's a U.S. federal minimum wage, and in the Senate as well. But I don't want a federal one. I want a state one. So I'm going to keep scrolling down until I get to a state. And actually, I'm not going to scroll. I'm just going to click this. There's a lot of federal ones. Perhaps I shouldn't be surprised. Okay, here we go. So Alabama. And what we're looking for is something that was introduced, but this is critical, especially if you're looking at Tennessee specifically. You don't want to propose a bill that already exists. But here we'll see that in Alabama in 2017, this person proposed the Alabama Minimum Wage Act that sets a minimum wage, and that it will increase every 3 years based on the Consumer Price Index. So let's say, yeah, that's what I want to do. So I'm going to click on that bill, and you'll see that it's taken me in here to see the actual text of the bill. Now, this is useful because this text is something that you are totally allowed to use for your bill. So let's say that I was really happy with this. This is exactly what I want. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to copy just the text. So notice that this says, be it enacted by the legislature of Alabama. And here we have, be it enacted by the Chattanooga State Mock General Assembly. So I've copied all of the text of this bill between that and the end. And then I'm going to come in here and I'm going to hit enter. And then I'm going to right click and paste as plain text. So keep text only, except look at that, it didn't copy. So we'll try it again. Does this ever happen to you? I bet it does. Okay, so now I've got some text, and you're more than welcome if you want to put a citation at the end. You're not required to, but you could say, bill originally introduced in the Alabama State Legislature. See, you don't have to do like a full citation. And I'm just going to copy this and paste it in here. Okay, so you're welcome to do that. But now what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to make this a little bit easier for us to understand. And I'm going to start with this whereas thing. So the whereas is optional. The whereas is optional, and you would use it if you wanted to include a justification for why you are writing this bill. So I might say something like, whereas workers in Tennessee currently let me think about how I want to say this. I'm going to say minimum wage workers in Tennessee currently do not earn enough money to live above the poverty line. So this is just like a justification. Like, this is the reason I'm writing this. But honestly, I don't feel like I need that, so I'm just going to delete it. And you don't have to have a whereas clause. Unless you have something that's really complicated, I would also encourage you to not have sections. So I'm going to rewrite this. I'm going to take out the sections. This will be known as the Tennessee Minimum Wage Act. So I'm just totally using that. This is going to have some definitions in it. I don't really feel like we as a body need to include that, so I'm just going to delete it. And then I'm going to go right to the heart of it here. So every employer shall pay each employee who is paid on an hourly basis a rate not less than $10 per hour. I'm going to get rid of the part about gratuities and tips because I don't want to make this very complicated. Then beginning January 1st and every subsequent 3 years, the minimum wage shall be, and I'm just going to kind of clean up this language so that it's just very clear, very straightforward, shall be increased by the same amount as the increase in the Consumer Price Index for Tennessee, as reported by the Department of Labor. And I will just get rid of all of this. Generally speaking, employers have to post the minimum wage, the provisions of this act. I'm not going to do this. And in fact, I'm just going to delete all the rest of this, including the penalties, because that's probably a little more complicated than we really need to do for this particular exercise. But I will go ahead and say that this act shall become effective immediately following its passage and approval by the governor, just so that we have that enacting language. Now, at this point, I have a bill that I'm pretty happy with. I want you to notice I've been recording this for about 13 minutes. I've just written, and I'm using air quotes here, I've just written a bill. And essentially what I've done is I've taken something that some other state has considered, and I've copied and pasted it, and then just tweaked it a little, made it a lot simpler. For the purposes of our legislative simulation, I really want to encourage you to just propose your basic idea. Don't worry so much about, how exactly you're going to pay for this. If you want to include where the money is coming from, that's fine. You don't have to go deeply into definitions or enforcement or penalties unless you just really, really want to. Once you've got the text, though, this is where we're going to come to these numbers over here. So these numbers are here to be line references so that when we're debating the bills in committee and in the General Assembly session, somebody can propose an amendment by saying, for example, I would amend this Tennessee Minimum Wage Act so that at line 16 it says this act shall become effective 90 days following its passage. So that way we don't have to talk about which, specifically which paragraph or so forth. We just have a really quick line reference. So you only need to keep these numbers in here through the last line. So you'll notice that I have a 17-line bill. That means that I can delete all these other lines. And whoops, that was not supposed to happen. I see what's happening here. So I'm going to delete those. And now I just have my 17 lines. And I've got my source down here. And now I'm ready to save this and upload it. Okay. Now, this is probably frankly, the easiest way to go about this assignment, because you can look at every single state. So maybe, you know what, actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to just look in Tennessee to see what has happened in this state. So here we have our results for Tennessee. There are 26 bills, and you can see that there are some things like just this year, the Tennessee, it looks like the Senate suggested raising the minimum wage to $10 in 2020, $11 in 2021, and $12 in 2022. I want you to notice also that this is really, really short. And this bill did not pass. How do I know that? Because back here it says that it failed and it was withdrawn. If it had become a law, it would say that. So if you wanted to propose that Tennessee raise the minimum wage in this way, you would be totally within your rights to copy this entire bill, paste it into our template, and submit it as your bill. You do not have to write the language yourself. You just have to propose something that the Tennessee state legislature would be within their rights or jurisdiction or purview to discuss. And where that text comes from, frankly, it doesn't matter. So once I've done that, and once I've got my bill, I'm going to go ahead and close that, and then I can come back into eLearn, and I can go to my Dropbox, and this is going to look different than yours does because, you know, I'm the teacher. Although I think I can actually make this look like a student view. And when I do that, I would upload my final bill text, and I would be good to go. So here I can go to my desktop, and here's my bill. Yes, I know. Okay. And I could submit it. So that's how you can write your bill. And I hope that this was helpful. I will put a link to the National Conference of State Legislatures into eLearn so that you have that link available if you want to go in and use that. In fact, I'll probably just put in the actual bill information service. And if you have any questions, please reach out. I'd be happy to help. Good luck. Can't wait to read your bill.